Well, we're over on the bench now and we've got our parts all spread out and organised, and this is our old camshaft sprocket, and you can see that the teeth, they're straight on one side and they're sort of starting to curve on the other. So we're going to replace this, and we're placing it with a Sparex S42418. Now, to have a look at these, they look pretty well the same. No troubles there. We sit one on top of the other. It's always good to do all this sort of stuff. Just check that everything's lining up nicely. And I might just bring the camera down a little. And we may be able to see a little bit more of what's going on. Now we have the timing chain and we have the new crankshaft sprocket, crank drive sprocket. That's a Sparex part number S42419. So they've kept the 424 number thing going pretty well. 42418, 42419, and let's have a look. Oh no, the timing change is S60909, so they buggered that whole numbering process up just there. So we have the new sprocket as well, and one thing we notice when we have a bit of a look around them there is there doesn't appear to be timing marks on them. And I can't see any on that gear anywhere. And I also notice that there's a fairly sharp corner here, but there's a lesser sharp one there, yeah, more of a chamfer there. So that's not as big as the original chamfer, but I'll have a quick look and make sure it's okay to go. But when we look here, I can't see any timing marks. So with the big chamfer in, if there was one here, we would have to be looking on this side, and there's nothing there. Not that I can see. Let's have a look at this. Same thing. No timing mark anywhere around that. And this is the old sprocket. And we can see where I highlighted the timing mark here. That's where the original timing mark was. So it's up to us now to determine how to time this engine. Now, one interesting thing with this sprocket, we can see where the wear marks from the weights have been, and there's little lubrication holes, and they come in from the weight side and out the other. So when we look at the Sparex one, we set it on top, so it's the same. So another thing that we need to have a look at, or I need to bring your attention to, is right, you can see that okay. But you can see there's there's two holes here and a little oil hole. And this gear, the holes will line up there, 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 so they'll line up anywhere. And so what's the point of that? There's no I don't know, I can't see what why they would do that. But there's also another mark on the cam here. And that's an oil groove. It comes in through this fella here from the back of the cam out the front there. And there's another little centre pop mark here. Now, I don't know what that centre pop mark's for. My book didn't mention it at all. So, first up, what I'd like to do is let's sit these two sprockets together with the oil hole at the front, same as the old one was, and we'll just line them up roughly with the holes, the mounting holes, the bolt holes. And so when we line this one up like that, the sprockets don't line up, do they? Not a chance. So let's go around 90. Now will that line up? The holes in the middle are lined up. Once again, nothing. So we have to keep going around, or this is how I choose to do it anyway, is we have to keep going around till the sprocket teeth line up and the holes in the middle line up. And in this instance, it's pretty well there. You can see the line down the top here. Line that up better if I can. But there's also these small holes through here. I've never been sure what they were about either. But when you pop a little bit of brazing rod or something like that down the hole, so you know it's lined up properly. We could probably get another one of those little bits if I had a pair of pliers here, but I'm just not very well organised. And so when we know that that's lining up there, where's our timing mark? There it is here. So we can just see that white mark. And it may be easier if I paint down the front of the tooth here for you. Oh, you can't really see that well either. I've got that much light, I can't bloody use it. So look, what I like to do here is get this all lined up. Make sure that your holes, and I'm just standing up now to make sure the holes down the centre are lined up. Make sure these teeth here are lined up perfectly with 1 or 2 wires in, so you know that you're exactly right. And then that puts the timing mark here. So that's transferring. I'll just run a line in through here. So that's transferring that old timing mark onto the new one. And so what we'll do there, once we know the track to run like that, we'll get a cold chisel and we'll just pop that on and see how we go. That should be okay. But then, on the camshaft here, we know that gear can go in many ways. So how do we know it's the right way? Well, if you remember on the tractor that the cam gear was up here, then down at around 45 degrees down this way was your crankshaft. So the crankshaft gear was down here, your camshaft gear was up the top. Well, wrong way, Lance. I was going to try and zoom out, but I'm a bit close. And we'll pull you back out here a little bit, just to get a bit better picture of what's going on. So we know that when our timing marks are lined up, we should be at top dead centre on number 1. On number 1's the front one. So how do we know that? There's a couple of ways of doing that. If the cam's in the engine, you can look for your 2 back rockers rocking, number 4 rocking. But if you can't do that, we have to know that it's firing on number 1. So for it to fire on number 1, the inlet and the exhaust and inlet valves here, they have to be on the back of the cam. So it so works out that you can sit the cam on those 2 flats and it'll sit there nicely for you. I'll just try and make a bit of a stack here of some sort. So with that sitting on the, with your two lobes there, kicking back, and now we know our timing mark, where that is. So that's got to face down at about somewhere in this direction, which is where this cam gear, the cam sprocket was. Now, exactly where, the only way we can tell is by popping the bolts in. And when you have the cam sitting flat on those two lugs, and you have this timing mark that we've just worked out coming down towards the crankshaft at around, what's that, 45, probably 30 degrees down to this one, well, the bolt holes are lined straight up. So you know you're right. So that's about the only way. If you leave the cam in the machine and you want to make sure that you get this sprocket on in the right place, the way of doing that then is take this sprocket off, and you're putting your new sprocket on. Well, you can transfer the marks once more, but then you can't sit it on the piston here, can you? You just can't do it. So what you look for then is your back to your inlet and exhaust valves, just get them rocking. And that'll be that close with those two rocking that this cam gear will go on. Now, if that's way out, there's no way that you're even going to look like going down, having this lined up with your sprocket down below. It's not going to be 90 degrees out. So the options that you would have are there. Well, blind Freddy would see that's no good, and wants the same there. So with the holes there, you can't really go wrong. What I'd like to do now too, I've never done this before, I just want to see, where was that oil hole? Over here. I wonder, does that oil hole line up all the time here? Oh, look at that. You can, they have made this, and I read up on it, but I found it hard to explain about how you can turn it round to pick up half a tooth and turn it round to pick up another one and things like that. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to set it up to how the old one was, and we'll leave it at that. So look, that's just how to work out the timing mark here. Now this fella here has no timing mark either. When the throw of the crank is right up on top dead centre, I think you'll find this keyway is either straight up or straight down. And for the exercise, we may even just pop a piston in, and by popping a piston in, we can actually show or demonstrate to you top dead centre. So there you go. That's just a quick find the timing marks, and we'll actually go and fit all this back to the tractor, fit it all back on, and we'll run through the exercise of setting it up. But that'll be another video. I just wanted to have a quick video on how to work out where to put your timing gear. So that's how I do it. There's probably 100 ways of doing it, but this one will get you very close, and yeah, have a go. It's all you can do.